We spoke a little bit about Fabio Carvalho on the last week's show, and it was revealed that RB Leipzig were the team who tried to get him. David Lynch wrote in Footy Insider earlier on that it was a £10 million bid that Leipzig had rejected for Fabio Carvalho, but they intend to return with a second big, although Liverpool are still signalling their reluctance to sell their forward. What's interesting on this one, Neil, is that Jurgen's always kind of said, you know, and again, we spoke about this a few times, is like he does like one year deals with his players, almost like you're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
And if a player's out, then they go. Now again, it seems like Liverpool are open to a loan deal on Fabio Carvalho, but RB Leipzig, they're obviously getting some encouragement from somewhere to come back with money. You know, they don't just do that. Someone somewhere saying you might be able to get him, whether it's an agent or whatever it is. I don't know. I get the feeling that he still could be sold, and I think you agreed on that when we spoke last time. But again, Liverpool have if they've rejected 10 million, I don't know what they think a suitable fee would be for him.
Yeah, double that for a kick-off, I think.
Do you think, yeah?
Yeah, 20-year-old player who they got relatively cheap previous year. Liverpool have been Liverpool sources, and I've spoken to more than one on this, are quite adamant he won't be sold. Now, whether that's a negotiating stance, tactic, or whether that's just logic, it's up to you really to decide. But that's Liverpool's. He's not going. We're not selling him. Now, I agree with that stance. If you were asking me to make the decision, if I was the sporting director, I wouldn't be selling him. I'd be seeing if I could get him a move to a club playing in Europe who play with number 10, and I'd go and say to them, go and smash it and come back, and we'll see where Liverpool are in 12 months' time. I understand his angle and his agent's angle that he's barely played. I mean, he's played 300 odd minutes, I think, since Christmas, in a team that hasn't always been playing particularly well, in a team that has probably lacked a little bit of spark at times and has lacked a little bit of goals at other times. I would be saying, what do you want? I understand that, well, you know, when Jurgen says his reaction has been unbelievable, his attitude,
great in training,
that kind of. I understand that that's not just him, Jurgen, sort of fattening him up. You know, I understand that's true. That like a lot of people, coaches at the club, are like, he's training like a demon. There's clearly some problems in terms of his why he doesn't play, in terms of weaknesses in his game or reasons why he's not fully trusted. I think there's an element of he's probably not robust enough to play in the areas that he needs to play in, the central areas, you know, maybe doesn't protect the ball as well when he's got his back to play or when he's got contact. But they are things that you can get better. I think Harvey Elliott's got an awful lot better of those in the last 12 months. I think Curtis Jones has almost completed that element of it, you know, in terms of not giving the ball away because he doesn't sort of get his body in the way. So they are things that you can work on. Everything else is pretty high level, isn't it? You know, 2-footed dribble, balance. He's quick enough, I think. Doesn't look like he's slow. Looks like he's got, like you say, he's got the right attitude. So why wouldn't you sort of just give him a year? What's the worst that could happen in a year's time? You know, he goes on loan to anywhere, doesn't really play. Well, it doesn't make Liverpool wrong, does it? It almost shows that Liverpool were right not to pick him. And B, he's still 21, and he comes back, and Liverpool can sort of say, well, do you know what? You've had a bad experience, but you can use that, and you can do this, and we'll work on this bit with you, or we can sell him. So I think giving up on him now and just saying you can go, I'm pretty sure the reason these stories are emerging is because the players, agents, and him are thinking, what we doing here? You know, we can't do another year of this.
Sorry, because you're there. Is that? But he is being offered a loan move, and this David's report says, you know, West Ham, Burnley, and Brentford are among the teams who have shown an interest. Whether they are or not, I don't know. But like, it does feel like Liverpool aren't holding them captain, saying you're not going anywhere. So does he just want? That's what I don't get. It's like if he was saying you're not going on loan or getting sold, I could see an agent really trying to get this stuff out there. But
yeah, but you don't. I mean, it could be a really good contract. It could be good personal terms, couldn't it? You know, it could be a club.
Yeah.
You know, you might just want the sort of the psychological security of knowing that I've got 4 years somewhere, and I'm not sort of playing for me future sort of immediately. You know, beholden to whatever do me cruciate, you know, in August, you know.
We just saw Tammy Abraham do his ACL on the last game of the season. Like, apparently, yesterday looked like he'd done his ACL.
Oh,
shame for him, but like you say, that can happen to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
so I do understand that.
There's that element to it. I mean, there is a West Ham less so, but there's a prestige element as well. Going from Liverpool to Leipzig sort of feels like, of course, it's a downward step, but it's not the sort of, like, going from Liverpool to Brentford or Burnley is sort of like a, you know, you are moving down, obviously down the
at the moment. I mean, Brentford's maybe similar, but like, they're not as good as Fulham. You mean like the team left? Do you know what I mean? Like if there's no shame even if you went back to Fulham, you're like, yeah, fair enough. I see your point. Like it's like you've gone up to go way down. He probably doesn't want to go to a lesser club than Fulham. The team he left. Perhaps.
From a Liverpool point of view, look, I understand both elements to it. Really, I understand why him and his camp would say, look, what's the point? In, you know, I'm saying on this show, I've said in the past, Liverpool don't play with a number 10. You know, his camp could easily be saying, well, when are you ever going to be playing with number 10? You know, while Jurgen's the manager, it's not happening, is it? So, you know, what's the point of us sticking around waiting for something that's never going to happen? But from a Liverpool point of view, it's like, well, what would happen if they were just coming to the agent after a year and saying, by the way, we're gone, and the player was like, no, I want to stick at it. You know, it works both ways, doesn't it? Just because the agent wants, or the player wants to leave, doesn't mean the club have to sell, and just because the club want to sell doesn't mean the player has to leave. So there's obviously a bit of a difference of opinion in there. I think he's changed agents not so long ago as well, so maybe the relationship between the club and the agent isn't as strong as it might be. But I think from Liverpool's point of view, I think a loan is the right idea, unless someone just comes and whops down a price that you think, you know what, that might be all we can ever get for the player, you know, 25-30 million. I think the situation at the moment is that Liverpool are really pushing towards a loan move to a good club. I think Leipzig would not be a bad club itself for a loan move. Preferably, I think one that plays in European competition. Preferably one that obviously plays with the kind of system that would allow a Carvalho, as opposed to someone who plays 4-4-2 with, you know, you don't want to be sending them to Sean Dyche or, you know, Sam Allardyce or those kind of managers. So I think there's there'll be a lot discussed about Carvalho, but all I can say is what the people at Liverpool have told me is, one, that he's still got an awful lot of supporters at the club in terms of his attitude, his training levels, his quality, but two, that they don't want to sell him this summer. They want to either loan him or keep him. Probably loan is the more likely of the two.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like I say, and if it is Leipzig, he goes play Champions League footy. You know what I mean? Like there's you can understand that.
And there's a trust of English or players from England going over to Germany, isn't there? I mean, Lynchy mentions there that Jadon Sancho and people like that, Jude Bellingham, obviously. You know, there's been others that have done that. You know, I know Hudson-Odoi's had a difficult season, you'd say, at Leverkusen, but there's a history of sort of young English players going over there and not sort of just disappearing into the background. They've been at least given chances to go and play some football, and, you know, look like they can handle the lifestyle. Maybe it's a bit easier potentially, you know, in terms of going to a Germany than maybe going to a Spain or an Italy. Might be a little bit sort of more easier for the adaptation process. But I think Carvalho, I think he'll end up moving this summer. I don't think you can rule out a sale, just like I say, because of the sort of the clear desire, I think, of his camp. But I'd edge towards a loan if I was looking at it. Absolutely. I still think he'd be a fine player. He'll be someone will get a good sign if they do get him.
Hey everyone, that was a clip from our Journo Insight show. Me and Neil speaking every single week, twice a week on Liverpool transfers. Go and check out at redmenplus.com if you want the full episode, including chats about Kone, Thuram, Carvalho, and of course Alexis McAllister. At redmenplus.com, sign up as a club captain or a club legend, and you'll get Journo Insights every Monday and every Thursday, both in video and podcast forms.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Check out redmenplus.com, and if you join as a club legend on there, At a yearly rate, you'll be instantly emailed 2 codes to get yourself 2 free pieces of merch from redmenmerch.com. Boss Liverpool t-shirts to sit in, watch and listen to our podcast. It's Boss, your boss. See it on redmenplus.com.